In this video you will learn how to create smooth animations with GSAP in Webflow. First I show you the structure in Webflow, then a short insight into Spline. There I created an interactive 3D transition. Then it goes into the custom code. I will show you how I created a timeline animation for the hero of my website. I will also show you how to use the position parameter of GSAP to create precise timings and how to use a stagger to animate multiple elements one after the other. First, let me show you very quickly how I built this hero section in Webflow. So this is my hero with the class section hero, and I set the position to relative, and inside of this I have this spline scene. On this element I set the position to absolute and set this to full and gave this a very high Z index. So basically it's overlapping all other elements. So when I shrink this down a little bit, you see it's overlapping a little bit, but I set the blend mode to different so you can look through this. So when I deactivate this, you see it's overlapping all other elements here, but I like the effect when you can look through this 3D object. Then I have this container here with my hero elements, and I set this one also to flex and gave this a direction horizontal and justify space between. So I have this two elements inside of this, and space between just means that once one element is on the left and one element is on the right. So if I change this to justify start, you see both elements are on the left. When I set this to justify end, both elements are on the right, and space between just means set one to the left, one to the right. And then I have this hero content container, and this is also a flex container with direction horizontal. On the left I have this arrow element, and on the right my main text elements in my hero, where I have my h1 and a divider, my meta texts, and yeah, that's basically it. Maybe just a little bit more information about this 3D object. When I go to the preview mode, you see it's already following my cursor, so there's already a very nice interaction, and this interaction is something I made entirely in Spline. Let's check out what I did in Spline. So I open Spline here. So this is my my scene I created for my hero, and maybe you noticed from my little side project 3 dimensions where I integrated these elements also on the whole side, and you can scroll down and they are moving, and this is exactly the same element, and I just change a little bit here, change the materials, etc. So when I go into this, you see I have this group of spheres. So I have 4 of them, and every sphere has its different states. So one base state, so maybe I just go into this one, into this big one, and you see this is the base state. And this is my edited state, so you just can add states when you click on this plus icon here on the side, and then you can just change some values here, like the position, the scale, the rotation. You can change some values in the material options, and then you can create an animation or an event. So you just can click on the plus icon here. You can choose when do you want to start the animation, so maybe just right at the beginning when the user enters your page, or maybe on mouse click, on key press, on scroll, etc. There are a ton of options here. So and then you can choose an action. So in my case it's a transition, so let's go into my event. I choose a scroll trigger on this one, so when the user starts scrolling, this transition is running, so it's animating from the base state to my edited state to this one. And yeah, it's basically just an animation. This is something I did for every sphere here, and also I have this group, so I created this one and added a new state here. So I have two states where I changed the position and the rotation. So and here I have this start animation, so this is running when the page loads, so when the user is entering my page. And yeah, that's basically it. Maybe just go to the export settings, and here you can see you have this play settings where you can choose between different options, and I added this on hover effect, and this is this effect when you're hovering over your elements that are moving, and this is something you can just activate here on hover. So when I deactivate this and update my viewer and then go back to the preview, and you see when I move my cursor nothing happens, only my start animation is running. So this is this one I added to the whole group, you know, because I set this event to start. I just open this and then the animation is running, and I activate this one again here in my play settings on hover, update my viewer, and you can play with these values. And then I go back to the preview and you see I have this very cool effect. Alright, so that's it. That's everything I did in Spline. So you have this export settings, and here you have this viewer, and this is the URL you need for Webflow. So just click on this icon and the link copy to clipboard, and then go back to Webflow, add the Spline scene, and go to the settings and add your URL. So, and that's basically all you need to know for this one. And now let's go to the custom code part where I add the GSAP animation, and yeah, let's prepare this one. Let's head over to CodeSandbox, and here you first need to create an account and then click on new sandbox. And here you can choose a template, and all we need for this one is just a static template, so we don't need a bundler or anything like that in the background. So let's choose static. And now we have this code editor in the browser, and that's basically the idea behind CodeSandbox. So you just can write your code right in this editor, and it's all browser based. So this is very powerful in my opinion. So what we do here now is that we create a new file, and maybe let's just call it main.js, and you don't need the HTML file or the JSON files here, but you just can ignore them. And what we need to do here now is to grab this URL. You see this right here in the right area in your preview browser. So just grab this URL and go back to Webflow, and then you have to go to the project settings of your Webflow project, and then go to custom code. And here in the footer area, just create a new script tag and close it. And then you just have to copy this URL and paste it in here. And let's save this and let's publish this. And then open our preview site here, and maybe I just place this one side by side. So I use the Arc browser where I can use this split view. So on the right I have this the Webflow side. I open the console here, and on the left I have my CodeSandbox. And now let's just add a console log to test it if it works. So this is my console log. I save this with Command S, and then I refresh my Webflow site, check the console, and here it is, hello world. So we successfully integrated our CodeSandbox JavaScript file into our Webflow site, and now we can add our custom code here in CodeSandbox, and it's just available in our Webflow project. And that's a very cool setup, I think, because I personally don't like the native Webflow integration that much, because it's very limiting. That you don't have very much functions. It's just basic syntax highlighting, and therefore I always use CodeSandbox to write my custom code. Alright, let's go back to our Webflow site settings, and here we just need to add GSAP. So go to the GSAP website and let's head over to Docs. And then you just can go to installation here and choose everything you need. In our case, it's totally fine to use the CDN. So we have this script link here. We don't need any plugins, I think, for the hero. So I just copied this one, the GZAP min file. And it's important that we put this before our JS file, because only then we have access to the GZAP library. And then I want to use something called SplitType. It's another library. It's a very simple library to split up HTML text into elements so that lines, words and characters can be animated independently. And it's also inspired by a GSAP plugin called SplitText. So you also could just use this CDN link here. Let's copy this one, go back to the Webflow settings and add this here in the footer again. So let's delete this comment and save this. Yeah, and that's basically everything we need right now. So now we can start to write our code. And I go back to my code environment here, so close my console. I don't need this for now. On the left side I have my CodeSandbox editor. I will close this file explorer, so just click on this icon here, so I have full focus on my code editor here, and I will delete the console log. And now we can start with our custom code. And we begin with the SplitType code here. So just let's go to the documentation here on GitHub, and here we see what we have to do to split our text. So we already included this one, and now we just have to create new variables and then say new SplitType and add our target here. So this could be a class or ID. And now just go into our CodeSandbox and let's start with our hero title. So I say const hero title and then new SplitType, and here I just have to add the class of this element, and in my case it's hero title heading 1, and the next one is the hero subtitle, and here I say new SplitType. So, and this is something I could just copy. So hero heading 3, hero meta main text, and hero meta sub. Change the variables hero meta sub and hero meta main. So when I go into my Webflow side and then here in the dev tools, and you see when I'm hovering over my text elements that they are divided into multiple parts. So each character is a single div element, each word and each line, so we can animate them separately. And now let's start with our GZAP code. So just create a new GZAP timeline here. So let's say const intro tl gzap.timeline, and then go into this timeline, and let's say we want to set our hero position to -25% on the x-axis, and let's refresh this, and you see it moved to the left. So this works well. And now let's add our animations. So first I want to animate the hero title, and because we already defined this here in our SplitType function, we just can call this like this. Just type your variable name, and then you can choose between chars for the characters or words or lines. I want to animate the words, so I add this one, and then let's say we want to animate the Y position. I say 100%, and then I refresh this on the right, and you see my text is coming from the bottom to the top, so this works very well already. And if you're wondering why we have this little bug when I reload this page, you see when I reload, and this is because we are working in the CodeSandbox, and of course our Webflow code, so everything we set up in Webflow is loading first, and then after a few milliseconds the CodeSandbox code is loading, and that's the reason why we have this little bug here, but we will fix this in a minute. So add a few more lines of code here. So we want to add a ease effect here, so let's say circ out, and a duration of 1.25 and a stagger, so maybe just 0.15. I think that's good. Yes, you see there is a slightly delay between each word. And now let's maybe say we want to animate our header bar. So let's say from dot header bar, and I want to animate all child elements from this. So let's say opacity 0, y minus 20 pixels, and then also add a stagger and the duration by 0.75, and then I will refresh, and you see these elements are fading in, but I want this animation to start at the same time as the previous one, so we can add a position parameter here. So this is our from animation, and then we can add this position parameter here, so like this one, and this means start with the preview one. So let's refresh this one, and you see this is starting at the exact same time. And if you want to know more about the position parameter, let's go into the GSAP docs, and here I think on the timeline, or let's go into resources, and here you have this position parameter, and here you can read a lot of more about this topic. Yeah, you can position your animations like you want. You are not limited to create a timeline which is running from start to the end, but you can yeah, change everything like you want, and I think this is pretty cool. So go back into our CodeSandbox, and now I want to animate this arrow element here. Let's say from, and then we call this hero deco arrow. I think this is the right class of this. Let me check this in a minute. I want to animate this with a y% 100 and x% minus 100, and then a duration by 1.25 and ease expo out. So let's check if this is the right class. Yes. Oh yeah, this looks cool, but I want that this animation also start a little bit earlier, so we need another position parameter here. So let's add this one right here, and let's say we want that this animation is starting 0.5 seconds after this one. So let's check this again. Yeah, I think this is pretty cool. And now I want to move this hero back to the right. So let's say 2 hero x% 0 duration 1.5 ease power 2 in out. We set the position here to minus 25%, and here we animate it back to its original position. So it's starting on the left, and then it should be moving to the right. Okay, we need to call the class here. Yes, right, it's working. Very cool. Alright, so now I want to animate this whole 3D element here. So let's say from hero spline, and then let's say x% -20, y%, oops, 5, and opacity of 0. And let's check this one. Oops. So all right, that's way too fast. So of course let's add a duration here and ease. So maybe power 2 in out, and refresh this. Alright, so I think the animation is okay, but it starts way too late. So let's add another position parameter here, and let's say we want to animate this again like the previous one. Yeah, that's cool. So when the whole hero section is moving to the right, it looks like it pushes the element to the side, so this whole group, so it's moving to the right. And yeah, I think this is pretty cool. So maybe add another very cool effect, a little blur, so we can add this filter blur, let's say 40 pixels, and refresh this. Yeah, I think this is a nice effect to add some depth to the animation. So refresh, and yeah, just continue with our timeline. I add another animation for this divider here. So let's say hero divider, and let's animate the width of this one. Let's check this. Maybe also animate the opacity from 0, and the duration maybe of 2.25, ease, of course. Let's say export out, and let's refresh this one. And of course, yeah, the effect looks cool, but of course we need the position parameter here. So let's say we want to animate it like the previous one, but 0.25 seconds later. Yeah, it's like it's still in the movement, but it's not starting with the previous one to the exact same time, but a little later. And yeah, that looks good. So now let's animate these text elements on the bottom. So let's say we want to add another from animation here and animate our subtitle, and we want to animate the words. So let's say again y% 100 and ease power 2 in out with a duration of 1.2 and the stagger of 0.08. Alright, this is the text here on the left where we need to add the position parameter again, and I will copy this one, the 0.25. Let's test it again. Yeah, that looks good because it's still in the movement, the hero section is still in the movement, and then the text is coming in, and this looks pretty smooth. So then we want to animate our hero meta main.words, and here we also animate the y% 100 ease power 2 in out, a duration of 0.8 and stagger of 0.08, and of course we add a position parameter here. Let's copy this again. Oops, 0.25. Let's check this. Okay, you see only the text is hidden for now, but we also will animate these corners here. So we can add another from animation here. So let's say hero meta deco, or no, I need to call the class hero meta deco. I think this is this one. And then let's say the opacity 0. Let's check this. Okay, this is the wrong class name. So let's go into the Webflow designer to check what's the right class name of this one. Okay, it's this one, hero meta main deco. So let's take this. Or we need to create a variable, because there are multiple elements of this one. So let's go up here and let's add this variable hero deco document query selector all, and then the class name. So now we select all 4 elements and not only one. So go back into our GSAP timeline and add the name of the variable hero deco. This is this one, and we select all 4 elements here. So we animate the opacity from 0. Yeah, that looks good. And now we want to increase the duration a little bit, maybe 1 second. We can animate the elements on the y-axis. Let's say just a tiny animation here. So let's say 5 pixels and a stagger of 0.25 maybe. So let's check this. Alright, that looks good, but I don't like that always animating from the left to the right, and then the left corner and then the right corner, but I want that this is a random animation. So what we can do in GSAP is to animate a random stagger, each 0.25, and then from random. And now it's totally random which element comes first. So let's test it again. Yes, you see, that was the first element, and when we refresh again, it's another, and then it started on the right, and the order is always different, and I think this is pretty cool in this case. So, and now lastly we want to animate this text here on the right. So let's add another from animation, and we want to animate the words. So let's say hero meta sub words without the quotes here. And now y% 100, let's add the ease effect, power 2 in out, and the duration of 0.8, and the stagger, let's say 0.04. All right, let's check this. Okay, 2 things. Again, we need more position parameters. So first on the decoration elements here. So let's add this one here. We want to animate this with the previous one, with this one. So when these words are coming in, these corners are fading in too. And then we add the position parameter here, 0.25. And now let's check this one. Oh, what was this? Ah, okay. I made a mistake here because now we have defined an absolute position parameter. So this animation plays 0.25 seconds after the start of the whole timeline. Of course, we don't want that. So now we add here again this symbol to create this relative position parameter, and now it starts 0.25 seconds after the previous animation. And let's check this again. That looks better. All right, yeah, that's it. That's the animation. I think this is pretty cool. What do you think? Write it below in the comments. And here we can hover over this one. We can close our code editor here and preview this in the full screen. And yeah, I think this looks very cool. So now we can fix the bug that happens when we enter the page. So here we first see the state that we have defined in Webflow. And to do this, we simply copy our code from CodeSandbox and paste it into Webflow. So just go to CodeSandbox, copy this, maybe just create a comment so this doesn't work anymore, and then go into your Webflow site settings and then create a new script tag here and then paste it in. Click save and publish, and then we see it's working fine. There are no bugs anymore. There's no jump at the beginning. It looks very good. So that's it. This is how I create GSAP animations in Webflow, and if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I will be very happy to answer them, and if you have any video requests, just write it in the comments. So thanks a lot for watching. See you then.